Idaho Matters is brought to you in part by St. Luke's Pharmacy, now offering free home delivery. For daily medications or one-time prescriptions, home delivery is easy to set up. It's convenient and safe. St. Luke's Pharmacy, now delivering to your doorstep. Information on how to get started at stlukesonline.org.
So you can't see this, but hopefully you can hear it. Behind every Boise State Public Radio podcast is a team working hard to bring you stories that matter. So if you value podcasts like this one, please support them. Hit donate at boisestatepublicradio.org. Thanks.
From the studios of Boise State Public Radio News, I'm Gemma Gaudette. You're listening to Idaho Matters. Can moving your body help your mental health? Well, that's the focus of a new series from Boise State Public Radio. Turns out things like yoga, gardening, even just taking a walk can release endorphins and other brain chemicals which reduce stress. They help you sleep better and even help build your self-esteem. It's called Mind in Motion, How Movement Works with Mental Health. And it's the brainchild of our digital content coordinator, Katie Kloppenberg. She sat down with our senior producer, Samantha Wright, to talk about it. So let's take a listen.
This is really another great mental health series by you, Katie. This one is all about using movement to feel better. Tell us how this all got started.
It all got started from my mental health journey. I started it a few years ago, focusing specifically on like social media and how it affects teenagers, because that was my story. I really struggled whenever I was a teenager. And then it just kind of evolved from there. I think talking about mental health is super important just because we need to be talking about it to make it like a less stigmatized issue. So by doing a series every year, it opens up that space for people to feel more comfortable to tell their story about mental health. And it's been like a different theme every year. So it's social media, and this year is movement, because we are seeing people move more, especially as it gets warmer. And we're very lucky to live in Boise, where movement is pretty accessible for a lot of people.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pretty places to move in.
Yes.
Absolutely. So how does movement help our mental health? I think endorphins is something people know a lot about, but what else is in there?
There's a lot of different ways that it helps our mental health. It can help you reduce stress. It does boost those endorphins. It helps you sleep better. It helps improve the amount of sleep that you get and the quality of sleep that you get. And as you start seeing the benefits of mental health or of movement, you can also see it in your self-esteem. You'll start like looking at yourself differently in the mirror. And, you know, it changes how your brain sees yourself and how your brain thinks about yourself, which is something that was really exciting to talk about with people during this series.
Absolutely. Okay, you looked at how a regular exercise program can help our mental health, and there is research to back this up.
There is, and it's something that is still being researched and will be researched for a really long time because the brain is a very complicated thing. So I spoke with Jack Ragland. He is a kinesiology professor at Indiana University, and he does research how physical activity can help improve your mental health. And something that he said was researchers are using clinical studies to compare how regular and routine exercise programs affect people that have or do not have mental health diagnoses. And they compare that to other treatments like medication or talk therapy. And what they're seeing is that exercise and movement in general does improve one's mental health, but they're starting to question, how does it compare to other standard forms of treatment, like what I just said, medication, therapy, and how is it different? Is it better? Is it not? Is it something that can just be done in conjunction with, or can it replace entirely? That's a good question to ask.
Yeah, it is. So many questions. We mentioned endorphins, but there are other chemicals, right, in your brain that this may be affecting.
Yes, so many. So what they're kind of looking at is they know exercise does trigger other chemicals in the brain and hormones that are linked to your mood regulation. Ragland says each one is linked in some way to feeling better mentally, but it's still being researched to compare against other methods of mental health care. So it's still a question. It's still very interesting to look at that. But what we do know is it does help. Just how, why, does it affect different people differently?
Yeah.
The answer is yes.
Yes. Okay, so does it have to be like heavy duty exercise? Do you have to go out and do like cardiovascular, or could it just be like a little bit?
Absolutely not. It can be literally any form of movement helps somebody feel better. This can be a walk around the block after dinner. It can be playing Wii Sports for like half an hour. That's what I do. I really love it. It can be a dance class. It can be a yoga session. It can be walking your dog. There's so many different types of movement. It really depends on you and what you like to do, because exercise is very person dependent. Some people like to lift heavy weights. Some people hate to lift heavy weights. So you just have to find what makes you happy and just keep doing it.
Absolutely. And the nice thing is, once you get out of high school, you get to choose your exercise.
Yes.
Yeah.
And whenever I was in high school, my exercise was marching band. That was my PE credit. So that's what I did.
Yeah, well, see, that's movement. That's movement.
It is.
Okay, you mentioned yoga. Let's talk yoga. It's good for the body. How is it good for mental health? Because this is one of the things you looked at.
Yeah, so I did speak with a yoga instructor out in Canyon County, Nicole Bell. She really said it's good for your body, it's good for your mental health, because it forces you to slow down and be focused in a moment. And you can learn that whenever you're in the mat, and then you can learn how to take it out and into the real world as well.
And breathing, because breathing is very important in yoga. It's a lot of what you do. But breathing also good dealing with stress.
Yeah, and just being alive in general, that's what breathing is good for.
That too.
Nicole did say that many of yoga sequences that you do, you use inhaling and exhaling as part of the movement. It's part of the motion and what yoga is about. And she said that it can really translate off the mat and into your real life, because you get into the practice and the habit of taking those deep breaths to like calm and relax and center yourself. And you can take that into your life. You can take that into work. You can take that into your personal life. If you're starting to feel really, really overwhelmed, your body will just kind of naturally take that deep breath in, hold, and exhale. And she said that's really good for you to just have in your toolbox of mental health care.
Well, and that I would think that establishing that routine, that regularity that you do in yoga, you could, as you said, you can fall back on, but it's like a muscle. I mean, it's like anything else. If you do that breathing over and over and over in yoga, then it's just a no-brainer.
It just kind of becomes like a second nature thing to be like, okay, I just need to center real quick. Inhale, deep breath, hold, exhale, deep breath. And that can just really work wonders whenever you are starting to feel that stress and overwhelm that life has. And that's something that I really like about yoga, and something that I've been doing more often since talking to Nicole.
I'm just breathing more talking to you. I love this one. This is another in the series. We talked a little bit about it on Idaho Matters. It's gardening as therapy. How does it work? Because it's not just the gardening.
It isn't, but that is like the large part of what it is centered around. So the Idaho Botanical Garden started a horticulture therapy program. Say that 3 times fast.
Ooh, that's hard to say.
I can't. And they really focus on how can plants support your well-being. And I learned that the practice of horticulture therapy goes back to when physicians would be like prescribing walks in the garden as a form of therapy, or like as a form of treatment to patients, because gardening has been shown to reduce your stress hormones and foster calming and almost meditative states of being. And something that the program is led by a master gardener, an Ada County master gardener, Katie Pukash. And she said that, you have like your goal-oriented tasks like digging or planting or weeding. And you can just, or like you can do the more passive engagement type of things of just walking through nature, absorbing your surroundings, all of that. So there's different aspects of horticulture therapy that everybody can enjoy.
Right. And you mentioned, stress. It's also good for depression, you found out, and a way to create connection, which is important.
Yes. So with the program at the gardens, they do like cohorts of horticultural therapy. So it's like small groups of people. I think they said it's like 5 to 8. These are open to the public, and they last about 3 months long. So you really get to know the people that you're participating in horticultural therapy with. And they also just have like some random one-day community events that like kind of introduce you to horticultural therapy. But gardening does not have to be a solo activity. It's a good way to talk to people about what you're doing, what you're planning, what you're excited about seeing in your garden this year. It's a great way to foster that community aspect and talk with people about what you're seeing and what you're excited about.
Yeah, that connection. And then, as we've talked a lot about, getting out of isolation, I guess.
Yes, getting out into the world and seeing things from maybe like a little bit of a different angle, because you get to see different plants and flowers and vegetables that you may have never seen before in your life and that you maybe wouldn't consider growing in your home garden. Okay,
so Katie at the garden gave you a great example about tomatoes. Share the example with us.
Katie Pukash was a metaphor queen. So she gave this one. It was about tomato suckers, and there's going to be a picture of it in the video, so it can probably explain it a little better than I can. But a tomato sucker is basically like a smaller shoot or stem that grows between the main stem and a branch that has leaves and will eventually grow fruit. But a tomato sucker won't grow fruit. It won't bear fruit. So it kind of takes away from the main plant. And she used this as like a metaphor for what are you giving energy to that you maybe shouldn't, that isn't going to bear fruit for you. And so maybe just like pruning that off and being a little more free in that way and have more energy to dedicate in other areas of your life that will eventually grow that fruit.
I like that. All right. So in another video, you talked to a certified body positive treatment provider. Say that 3 times fast. At Boise State. What is body positive treatment?
Body positive treatment focuses on improving your body image and treating eating disorders. And we see a lot of that in college students. So that's what Amy Roberts focuses on. She is a counselor at Boise State, and she has that treatment provider classification. She did a really long training for it, but she said it was really, really good. And it kind of changes how you think about yourself internally and how the messages that you give yourself can influence or shape the relationship we have between our bodies and food.
Interesting. Okay, so this is about silencing our internal critic or turning it into something like a positive.
Turning it into a positive. We all have like an internal narrative about how we feel about ourselves. And for a lot of people, myself included, it's not always positive. Sometimes I see myself in a really gross light and I don't like that. But it is kind of like a lifetime journey of changing the way that you think about yourself. And Robert said it's important to learn how to shift that mentality of being an internal critic of yourself and turning it more into being an internal appreciator of yourself. But she does say it's a gradual process. It's something that you will have to do probably for your entire life because you kind of have to rework the way that your brain thinks about yourself. And it's going to be an interesting and really long process.
So I thought of this when I was thinking about this. You get that voice in your head sometimes. You do something or you do something badly, and you think you suck. That was
we all
terrible.
have that memory from like middle school where we did something super weird, and now you just think about it now as adults. And I'm in my 30s, and I definitely have that. Where I'm just like, why did I do that stupid thing in middle school that I'm going to think about for the rest of my life now for some reason?
Yeah. Yep. And changing that around. And I thought too, because we see this sometimes. It used to be sort of a, I guess for lack of a better word, a meme in the past where you'd see somebody in front of a mirror. I'm a good person. I support myself. I'm beautiful. And people used to mock that. But we're finding that's
actually really useful to do. And we've seen it in like popular TV shows. There was like an instance in the Pit recently with Dr. Mel King saying that she was bougie and nasty. She was, I think it was Megan Thee Stallion song that she was just kind of like rapping to herself. And then she also did a Kelly Clarkson reference. And we've seen it in Grey's Anatomy where like standing like Superman can increase your confidence in certain moments and times because you're kind of assuming like a power stance. And that can really make you feel better about yourself.
Wow. Okay. There's so much in here. What is your takeaway from all of this, from this year's series? What did you take away, and what do you hope everybody else takes away?
I hope that everybody just takes away that any movement is good movement. You'll see it online of people lifting really heavy weights or running a half marathon like it's super easy. that does not have to be the way to get movement in your body. Movement is going to be very person specific because what will feel good to you will not feel good to the person that is sitting next to you. And like I said, it could be a yoga class. It could be a dance class. It could be a different type of dance class. There are so many types of dance classes. I recommend trying a bunch and seeing what you like. But the only person who can tell you what feels good is you. And you really have to listen to that message of what's going to make me feel good today. Because it can also vary on the day. It could be like, well, my body hurts today, so I'm just going to take it easy and do a walk around the park instead of doing something else that would normally bring me joy. Or Just Dance on the Nintendo Switch will play really good with my body today. Or I really like the tennis game on the Nintendo Switch. Or Beat Saber on the VR headsets. There's so many different ways to get movement. And I just recommend that people try it. Try a bunch of different things. Throw spaghetti at the wall. Find what works for you, because we know from the research that it will make you feel better.
Oh man. You keep mentioning Wii Sports and things, but you're on your bike on one of these videos. Does biking help you fight stress?
Yes, it does. I try and ride my bike every day whenever I go into work. I try and ride my bike whenever I come into work all the time. Sometimes the weather does not allow me to do that, but whenever the weather is really nice, it does provide for me a calming and centering ability. It puts me in a really positive mindset for whenever I come into the office. And I have to remind myself that even if I have like a pretty stressful day ahead of me full of meetings or whatever, whenever I'm riding my bike into work, which I realize is a luxury and a priority and like not something that everybody has, but I live a couple miles away from the office and I get to ride along the green belt and I get to look out on the river and I get to see the birds flying above me or wave at the people that are going by on their own daily lives. And that's not something I take for granted. I really appreciate those moments of being like, this is me, this is my job, this is my life, but I get to take this moment and just look around at the nature surrounding me and kind of like make stories about like, oh, this person's running. I bet they're going to go run and do something cool after this. I like that. That's what brings me joy. It's like making up stories about other people and like how happy their lives are. And what I hope the best for all the people that I pass by.
Okay. Where can we see the series?
So all of the videos are going to be posted on our Instagram account throughout the week. They will also be on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. There's going to be a banner at the top of the page. If you click that, that's where you can find them and just more information on how movement can help you, some links to that research that I've mentioned.
That was our senior producer, Samantha Wright, speaking with our digital content creator, Katie Kloppenberg, about her new series, Mind in Motion, How Movement Works with Mental Health. We'll put all the info and the links on our website, boisestatepublicradio.org. And we want to congratulate Katie for her award from the Idaho Press Club for her series last year, Wired Differently, Adult Life with ADHD and Autism. So a huge congrats to Katie on that. And that'll do it for this episode of Idaho Matters. Make sure you check out our podcast feed because you can find more episodes of topics that might be interesting to you. And for more local news and headlines, make sure you subscribe to the Connector podcast. If you're really enjoying this show, a quick rating or review on Apple or Spotify really helps other folks discover us, and we'd appreciate it.
You know, every day on Up First, NPR's Golden Globe-nominated morning news podcast, we bring you 3 essential stories. At the heart of each story are questions. What really happened? What really mattered? What happens next? At NPR, we stand for your right to be curious and to follow the facts. Follow Up First wherever you get your podcasts and start your day knowing what matters and why.